Hi, everybody. How are you? Welcome. And thank you so much for joining us today. And welcome back if you're curling up to kind of pop into a live. And if you're here for the first time, we have a delightful guest who I am honored to introduce to you. And the cool part, before we give Celia a chance to to introduce herself, is Celia and I met kind of our birthday week, which was kind of a cool thing. So hello and happy belated fellow Scorpion. It was kind of a good energy time. But what I really loved was Celia popped in to a poll that I had on my page. It seemed like magic, which is one of the fun parts about today's title, Event Alchemy. That can have some magic to it, kind of a transformation. But Celia popped into my poll and I'm like, oh, she's got an event coming up. Ooh, this looks like great to jump into. And from the very beginning, just really amazing, wonderful conversations from this extremely talented, wonderful woman. She's going to tell us more about her magic, and we'll explore some today. But what I loved was meeting Celia at a time during launch season was just really, really a great way to light up my world. So today, let's let Celia light up your world and let us know a little bit more about her.
Thank you for the lovely introduction, Mel. Yes, we did meet during your launch season, and it was super fun to witness your all the changes that you made after coming to my event. So hello, everyone, and I'm excited to be here with Mel today. I'm Celia Meisel. I am a strategic sales growth consultant, and I work with online business owners that offer transformational programs in the online coaching and training space to help them fix their sales problems. I have developed a methodology called the MORE method that has 5 stages, helping clients to have more money all the way to more sales with ease and more growth. And I get to come in and work with clients and help them not only with their day-to-day sales initiatives, their ongoing sales conversions and sales conversations, but I also get to help them with their launches and their virtual events. And since COVID over the last few years, I've had the opportunity to support close to 30 different launches and virtual events that have generated multi-millions, actually 8 figures in sales, or over $10 million in sales to be exact. And it has been an honor and a privilege to do so. And so in being involved in all of those sales, I've learned a lot about launching and events and what it really takes to have a successful sales initiative in your company. And so I'm really excited to dive in with Mel today and go deeper into some of the areas that you can start to make changes and shifts in your business.
Well, thank you so much, Celia, for that wonderful introduction. I think one of the hard parts about shifts is sometimes we don't know where to start. And I'll express it. I'm allergic to the word pivot. I think sometimes pivot sounds like an about face, where sometimes what we need is a lateral shift,
Mhm.
whether we're going left or right, or we're changing our tempo a little bit, or kind of, uh, I guess, changing the beat
Mhm.
a little bit. That's inspiring an event or a launch or even an offer.
Mhm.
Where would you suggest we start from the clarity piece where everybody's always trying to increase the revenue,
Mhm.
which is maybe looking at the ends in sight?
Mhm.
Where would you suggest we start?
Mhm. Well, I do think it's always great to have a goal and have a North Star that you're working for in your business. Absolutely. So the revenue wise, yes. But as far as, strategy versus tactic wise, I think that's what you're getting to here. I always start off with the bigger picture. I'm a very systematic person. And so I really like to look at the whole process that we want to create and map it out from A to Z where do we, what is that entry point that people are going to come through, and really craft the whole journey from A to Z. And I can do that with pretty much any area in a business when it comes to their sales. And so when it comes to your launches and events in particular, yes, you have this outcome, but really there's two things. You want to make sure that you have a great offer, and that your offer is designed in a way that your offer messaging is designed in a way that really communicates the transformations and excuse me, the transformations and the outcomes that people are going to get through going through your program and your process. And you also want to have that clarity around who the right fit person is to come through that offer. And so those are really the key ingredients to having any sort of successful initiative. Is the great offer, what I call offer positioning, how you talk about the offer, communicate about the offer. If you follow my videos, I talk about it a lot. And then that ideal client who's going to get the most benefit and transformation from going through that offer. Those are the people that you want coming into your business and coming to your events and coming to your launches and getting on your sales calls.
I was a little allergic in the beginning to that ideal client. Part of it was working with people in so many different industries
Uh-huh.
and at many different stages of, as you would say, of their journey.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, it was somebody, it was helping somebody who was working full time, dreaming of becoming a part-time entrepreneur, or
Mm-hmm.
helping someone move from part-time to full-time, or
Mm-hmm.
helping a team kind of enlarge, figure out the dynamics part, the ideal part. And I love that you're saying it about the clarity in terms of offer positioning and entry points. How could somebody who's stuck in their own journey
Mm-hmm.
find out what's ideal for the client they're trying to reach?
Mm-hmm. Well, you need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture as far as doing some doing some work around, like, who is this person, what is going on in their life, what makes them how problem aware. Whereas, like, okay, I know that I have an issue, and now I'm doing Google searches, now I'm looking for help, all the way to solution aware. Now I'm looking to make an investment in myself. So really understanding that buyer journey is really important. And I work with very successful business owners, multi 6, 7-figure business owners. And this is fundamentally things that we have to go through and to, like, multiple times. Especially, I find, as a company gets bigger, they can leave the most important person out of the whole conversation, and that's your ideal qualified buyer. So you really want that person to be who you're thinking about and crafting and designing stuff for. So it's very important to kind of get out of your own head and your own space and me, and that selfishness, and come to really thinking about that person that you are here to serve and support in your business.
Oh, I love that. I was having a conversation with somebody last week who's talking about, their story and trying to find a way to share their story. And even though our stories are really, really important, our story isn't necessarily the critical piece for our ideal client. They're in their story.
Mm-hmm.
They're in their team stories. They're in their goals, in their dreams. And we started having a discussion about it, and I really realized sometimes the influencers, and I love it because you're working with people sometimes on really massive launches and offers and conversions. But sometimes I think some can get stuck in the trenches
Mm-hmm.
because we're forgetting almost to dream high enough and aim high enough in
Mm-hmm.
helping our clients and our prospects and even our collaborators in their journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And when it comes to the story piece, I mean, crafting our story, it's important to talk about it in relevance to our client, right? Like, so showing that it's like the hero's journey, and showing our journey and how we've been through the same things that they have. And especially if you have a personal brand, and you're the face of your business. I mean, even when a business owner gets to guru level and they have this massive business, it's their story and how it appeals to that ideal client that really draws people in. So just as long as it's always through the lens of what they need and what they want to hear, and making them feel safe to come into your company and build that trust with them. That's always the most important.
And thanks, Roz, for being on the other end. Roz is there joining us for a conversation. Roz, we really appreciate you and your support and for joining us. And I know Mondays are big for Roz. Roz is always reaching out with some really positive, inspiring food for thought at the beginning of the week. I appreciate you. I think one of the things, as we're saying too, to kind of try and keep it simple, because I think that's what gets hard. Hey, Lachelle, how are you? I think what gets hard is it's hard to see the event, the launch, or the offer at eye
Mm-hmm.
level.
Mm-hmm.
And you're reminding us, see it through the eyes of our ideal client and
Mm-hmm.
wherever they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you don't want to be too much at eye level. You really want to zoom out and have that big overview. I think that that's where a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck, is they're always kind of like looking at it from the same vantage point, and we need to zoom out and see big picture. That's where that spinning can happen. And, even Einstein said, like, you can't solve a problem at the level of consciousness that it was created. So and that's why we have coaches. That's why we have mentors. That's why we do programs. And it's to get us out of our own thinking and out of our own ruts, so that we can start to see things differently.
I love that, because you're reminding us in the big picture and the vision. Maybe then the things to kind of add to, or maybe think of the alignment, or
Mm-hmm.
think of the clarity part
Yeah.
almost, and let those move sometimes
Mm-hmm.
in conversations or in business, or just in our journeys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, no, go right ahead.
I think that where, people can get stuck with the alignment and the clarity is that, like, we're dealing with human beings, right? And so no human is cookie cutter. So sometimes what happens is you go through this program and it's kind of a cookie cutter program, and it's like everything is like XYZ, ABC, follow all the steps. And then you get out there and it's like, well, nobody is really talking like this, or nobody's acting like this, or da da da. And you start to see, okay, there's like a mismatch between like how I'm thinking and how people really are. And so the whole point of like having the ideal client in everything is not to like put people into a box, but to really just have a deeper understanding of where people are, especially emotionally. Right? Because everybody's going to have, they may be a busy mom with lots of kids, or they're a busy professional, or, depending on your industry, or, they're a busy doctor, or, and so forth. So like they can have, I'm using the word busy a lot, or they can just be, if it's in a health area, like they could be somebody that has a lot of fatigue and a lot of stress. And so you're really looking at where people are emotionally. And so when you're creating like an ideal client profile, there's two layers. There's the demographic and the psychographic. And the demographic is like, she's a woman, she's 35, she's married, she has 2 kids, she works in this industry. But the psychographic, the psychology of the person, what are their pains? What are their values? That's actually where the gold is. And that's actually how you want to be crafting that customer journey and that ideal client profile and that offer as well. So I wanted to bring that out. So to give people some more clarity, our listeners.
I absolutely love that. And thanks much for lots of clarity. So, really, then trying to focus in on the content, and the content around events, and the content around launches
Mm-hmm.
in a way maybe that ties back together,
Mm-hmm.
because some of us have multiple offerings,
Mm-hmm.
and as you're explaining, some have really high level
Mm-hmm.
offerings.
Mm-hmm.
So how do business owners, how do you help us create event content that clearly leads back to that?
Mm-hmm. Well, if you have a case where you have a lot of offers, you want to pick the offer that you're going to be selling on the back end. So if you have 3 different offers that do 3 different things, it's not going to be effective to try and do like a, kind of like a buffet where you get a taste of everything. If if you have multiple offers and you want to sell all those, then I suggest doing a launch or event to drive to each of those offers throughout the year, because otherwise it's confusing, and then you're trying to track too many different people and trying to speak to too many different pain points. That's why I actually love my offer, the More method, because I was a multi-talented person who had a lot to offer, and I could do a lot of things for a lot of people. And finally I needed something that I could have a system where I could say, okay, I can work with you on this piece and I can work with you on this piece, but really my offer is built around my expertise. Now, obviously, like for this live stream, that's another conversation about offer development. But coming back to that clarity piece, choosing the offer that you're going to send people to in the launch, and then designing the content, you want to back up into that offer by, okay, this is the transformation that people get when they come to the offer. That when they buy my offer, they're going to get XYZ transformation. So what is one step before that they need to be thinking about, or they need to learn to be ready to come into the offer? And that's really what you talk about and teach about in your event or launch content, if you're doing webinars, challenges. And then if all the marketing that leads up to that, you have to think one step backward from that. So you're literally backing into the offer by designing your content in this very strategic way. Was that clear, Mel? Like, let me know.
That was so crystal clear, and I absolutely love that. I think you're reminding us too, the process of design
Yeah.
vary based on the offer,
Mm-hmm.
and really tailoring in to make sure it's one, because it's really easy. Confused minds don't buy, and it's really easy to confuse someone about whether something's for them or not. When we're working on event content around creating experiences
Mm-hmm.
that others will love, and kind of will see themselves and maybe see the transformation popping in
Mm-hmm.
for them. When we're looking at the offer, would you specify or suggest we try and define the language based on whether it's an offer for group coaching, for individual coaching, or for a team? Or is it okay to vary that language so the group can see themselves in there, the VIP sees themselves in there, and the
Mm-hmm.
team does? Would
Mm-hmm.
you mix that, or would you come up with content geared towards each of those as an ideal client?
Well, those are all different ideal clients. So I think that comes back, because if you're talking about like your offer and you have different tiers, ultimately the person has to self-select into knowing what's the right fit for them. Because I find that as entrepreneurs, if we're trying to like cater to too many different audiences, we want to do it. My suggestion is to streamline it more on your end, so then they know, okay, she's speaking to me now. And so you want to hit the big points that apply to everybody. Because if you have one offer that has 3 different ideal clients, what are the core themes that happen no matter who you're working with? That's what you want to be teaching and training on in your event. So then if it's like, okay, if you have a team, you can come, like, this is your journey, this is your next step. If you're an individual, this is your journey, this is your, if you have, now that's a whole other thing, is kind of getting into multiple calls to action. Again, I would streamline that, but definitely, what are the big rocks, the big things that are going to apply to all people, so you can be teaching to everyone at the same time? And because again, people get confused and then you lose their attention.
I love that. It's such a great reminder, Celia, to paint a picture.
Yeah.
Some of us are less visual. I always joke I'm the team member you don't want on your team necessarily in Pictionary. But if we're playing 25 words or less, I might be your girl. So, and I appreciate that idea to really paint a specific picture,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't necessarily see ourselves in sometimes in the description of some, as they're trying to figure out who an ideal client is.
Mhm.
When it's a woman and that woman is between a certain age range, if you're outside of that age range, I don't think I'm your ideal client. And I think sometimes that's a really cool thing, as you were saying, in terms of the demographics and the psychographics.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And a couple weeks ago, I did a live stream on buyer psychology and how to make more sales with ease. So I actually, if you go to my LinkedIn page, you can go find that video, and I talk about what buyer psychology is. And you can actually use what I give in the live stream to kind of start to create your ideal client profile, because at the core, it's going to be the values and the challenges that they're facing and a number of other things. But yes, always simplify. I think that I have a tendency to overcomplicate, and I think a lot of us do. And the more we simplify, the more just things can come easier to us. Like my current business coach, who I love, it's like she's given me the most simple business model, and it's almost boring. Like, and that's what she's really taught me, is when your business is successful, that it's actually kind of boring. And so it's that repetition and that consistency and getting, and sometimes people just love drama. So just think, simplify, less complication. You'll be amazed at how fast you can grow, because as you declutter your mind, you're able to make new choices and do things differently. And that's when we want new and different results. You want to go from, I get a lot of people that are like 500K, 600K, 700K, they want to jump to 1 million. And we can't operate the same way that you've been to get to 1 million. Things have to change, and it starts with your thinking and how you're making decisions in your business.
I love also that you're reminding us that consistency, and consistency has different meanings to us at different stages. Just like I was talking with a couple of coaches about the word alchemy, and one coach is like, "What in the world do you mean by alchemy?" I said, "Thinking of the magic, kind of that transformation that somebody feels that we don't always get a chance to witness the magic. We don't
Yeah.
always get a chance to see them at work during an event or with their teams, and maybe later, if we're lucky, we get to learn about the transformation. I think the thing, like you're saying, is in terms of the psychology, and Catherine's mentioning it, we have our own things to think about. We have our clients things to think about. We have
Mhm.
our team things to think about. And a reminder to really keep them separate. I love how you said that, to really almost put each offer in its own silo or its own container, to kind
Mhm.
of focus in
Yeah.
on on it at different stages.
And it's an ecosystem, right? Like your offers are an ecosystem. And so I'm hesitant to use the word silo, just because that can seem, too isolating, but the ecosystem and the journey of offers needs to make sense, for your business, but for sure. And for alchemy too, it's also like turning lead into gold, taking when something's not working, when things aren't going your way. Because if you're in the launch and the event space, there's going to be a time that things aren't going to go 100% your way. And when you can really use that and alchemize that situation and turn it into gold and opportunity, that's where growth happens. And especially when you take full responsibility for that experience. So I love the concept of alchemy, and really like leveraging our challenges and what's not working and those difficulties that we're facing, and using that to create our ultimate success. It's really, really powerful.
I love that because you're reminding me, in the process of event alchemy, and I, I have an offer behind it, and it's for individuals or it's for groups or teams, and there's different ways to kind of level it. It reminds me that behind it is, how can we help you light things up so
Hmm.
people see you before, during, and after events,
Yeah.
so you feel like you've got some influence, you have some impact, you have some momentum. I think the thing I love too, and you're helping me slow down, and the reason why I mentioned silo is, I think sometimes of events in terms of the stakeholders. We have a different perspective as an attendee
Hmm.
or a volunteer
Hmm.
or a host a sponsor, a presenter.
Mhm.
And so I have a tendency to think of those, and I love it because you remind me maybe silos aren't the right terms for those. It's a reminder of the different roles of those who are involved in the events. So to
Mhm.
think of it from the perspective of each role, that there are goals attached to that,
Mhm.
I really appreciate that in terms of helping. Once again, you're helping me slow Mel down. I thank you very much for that. It's hard too because people just hope they signed up for an event and instantly here's going to be event success. I
Mhm.
have the best widget or the best course or the best program or the best solution for you. And sometimes in there, the energy or the enthusiasm around how do I plan it? How do I identify some of the pre launch steps
Mhm.
and the steps at different stage that really you can kind of run out of the energy in the
Mhm.
process of trying to create event success. So I love it that you've got your more method to constantly remind us to look for more
Mhm.
during those steps.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And when you're crafting the event content too, you really want to think about like that you're telling a story basically, like through that journey. You're guiding people through an experience, and that at some point there's going to be an invitation. And so holding their attention and capturing their intention through that is really important. And that's a massive piece of the whole event success, is being able to hold a room and capture people's attention. Like that's a skill that has to be developed, is that art and creating that engagement and people wanting to show up, especially if you're doing like a multi-day event, but even a single day as well, like and also when you have an event, like do free event versus paid event. There's so many factors that go into the level of that experience that you're going to have in that time together with those people who sign up.
How do you suggest, and you're kind of an expert at this,
Mhm.
so I don't want you to give out the unique Celia
Mhm.
secret sauce stuff that you reserve for clients, but how do you qualify who you invite in, whether it's for a launch or an event?
Mhm.
And how would you suggest we do that with our
Mhm.
clients?
Yeah, so the qualification, it comes back to what we've been discussing today, is the like who you're speaking to and what are those top of mind problems that they have and how are you marketing to them and what is the event promise? Like what are they going to get out of the event? If you're crafting that in an effective way, you're going to get the right people in. Now, as far as qualification is concerned, some people will do a free event. I don't recommend like click and sign up type events where somebody can just go to an opt-in page, sign up, they show up or they don't. We've just found that the people that have like a free event ticket usually aren't committed. Whereas if you have like a VIP or you have a paid ticket, the level of show up, even if it's $25 or $100, the level of commitment that you get from those people is much higher than like a general admission, like a free ticket. So those are some things to think about. For my personal events, my business model is different from how my clients and how they run their businesses, because they are usually doing higher volume. They have a one-to-many group program and they're filling those programs. And my business is a boutique model. And so I run things differently, where I have an application process for my events. So my events are free, but you have to apply and you have to qualify to be into the room, because then everybody has been vetted to a certain degree to be invited in. And then everybody is also committed to be there fully for the 3 days. So when you have a regular event where you're selling tickets, there's lots of ways to qualify people, get them in the room, get them excited, get them engaged throughout the journey.
One of the things that I love that you're really reminding us of the difference in the model of your business as being set up in a different way to support the growth of your client's business.
Yeah.
So, a reminder, we don't share models, we don't necessarily share stories. It's just like we don't share event journeys sometimes.
Mhm.
And I think that's a really good reminder too, just in the process of trying to describe or reach the people that we're looking to help.
Totally, totally. And I just found for me, like my clients genuinely want to impact the masses. They want to have a big impact. Some of them have a desire to reach a guru status at some point in their businesses. And so what happens is a lot of the, you know, the options that are out there in the online space is going to maybe take a guru's program where you're paying $50,000, $100,000 to be in a mastermind where there's like 100 other people. And so the one-to-many model, it's hard to get that personalized attention that you need in your business to really get your questions answered. And so I found for me, being a high-level consultant and advisor I'm more relationship based. I love building relationships with my clients and people and having long-term relationships with them. And so coming into their business and really supporting them and, doing like sales management in a way. I mean, really I'm kind of like their sales manager without having to hire somebody full time, to help them manage their pipeline and their leads and hire up their sales team. And, you can't really get that individualized support that you need with coming into like a big group program. And so those things, they have their role and they have their place, but for scaling a business, we need different types of support. And so that's just where I've been called. And so my focus is I have my own model and I have my way of doing things and my own business model, but then I spend a lot of time in the marketplace really keeping a beat on what's going on. So I definitely, where there's things that I teach that are very meta, where like I'm doing the thing that I'm talking about, my business model is not meta in terms of like how I'm coaching my clients and working with them. And I love that about what I'm doing.
I absolutely love that because I think a really big part of the alchemy or the mixing it up or the magic is kind of figuring out where for us as an entrepreneur organization, where the beat is that we're
Mm-hmm.
following, where, the faith walk is, whether it's to our individual goals or whether they're to shared goals or a shared vision.
Yeah.
One of the things I love too about what you're saying is the reminder our culture and our environment really matters. And that's a big part of creating blends. Your clients, you're in a sense, you're their safety department,
Yeah.
in the sense of, controlling the gates or opening the gates, to their sales flow or as you're calling it, to their more method. I absolutely love that. One of the things I think is hard too about events sometimes, and I appreciate it because you mentioned it, whether it's a group model or whether it's an individual model, is that there's a different transparency, the different vulnerability. Work with clients sometimes who are at massive industries and really crowded industries
Mm-hmm.
where they're trying to differentiate themselves and they only have some outreach before the show, a little bit of time during a multi-day show
Mm-hmm.
to kind of show people who they are and try to build a connection that's memorable so somebody knows who they are when they send the email or call afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a model where their offer is a post show offer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of an interesting dance as opposed to sign up today for this package or for this offer. And that it seems to be a different rhythm based on when you share your offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying that they may not share the offer during the event, but then they'll share it after the event.
Yes, yep, in a one-on-one where they can kind of tailor it to the client, in
Mm-hmm.
a multi-day show where maybe one day is a carnival day, each day has a theme day and, there's the balance between meeting with exhibitors or
Mm-hmm.
sponsors and attending workshops to kind of increase the momentum of their business so their potential clients are in two different areas. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like minimum of two different hats,
Mm-hmm.
not to mention some of them can be there for the first time. So just orienting yourself. to the agenda or what's going on can really kind of increase or reduce the amount of time they have for a conversation with somebody.
Mhm.
They maybe are meeting that ideal client during speed, the equivalent of a speed networking meeting,
Mm.
which is challenging because they've got really large teams,
Mhm.
and they've got a bunch of offers.
Mhm.
So the process of trying to tailor it, so I love that what you're saying. It's some really great suggestions. You're reminding us also kind of keep breathing during the process, identifying what's happening and trying to see if we have the energy to kind of fuel it
Mhm.
or we don't scale.
Right, right. It's good to get it on, get your dates on the calendar and make a plan and, be in the rhythm of it and make sure that you're continuously growing your audience. That's a big part of it as well, is, putting your events out there and making sure that you've got new people coming in. If you're doing organic, you're going to need to be constantly expanding your network. And if you're running paid traffic, the paid ads are driving those people in, but that's really important so that you're not constantly launching and promoting to the same people all the time. Because eventually, yeah, you need to have new people coming in. That's a big part of it.
So in that process of qualifying or maybe meeting a new person, they're interested in your offer before you even present it.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a new opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and if you get those buying signals from somebody that says, "Ooh, I'm interested in working with you," before your event, or get on a call with them. Like, there's no rules that says that they have to wait. It's a great way to take people who are maybe on the fence or looking at working with you and get them into your world so they can get to know you better, warm them up a little bit more. Because the thing is with events, whether it's a 2 hour, 3 hour, or multi-day, they're really powerful because you get to show up at the front of the room with your expertise and connect with that audience in a new way, with you being the leader, and you get their attention and their focus. And that can be more powerful than them coming into a sales funnel and watching a webinar and, booking a call. So there is a real power in that, in you kind of standing out and kind of having a competitive edge in your industry when you're able to do the events.
I absolutely love that, as well as your help just thinking of the difference in an offer from an individual and an offer from a team, and for those with multiple offers, just really a reminder to kind of keep them separate so it doesn't feel like a buffet,
Mm-hmm.
or it doesn't feel like an invitation to a smorgasbord, or
Yeah,
where we can get lost.
right.
That is really cool. Anything you'd like to leave us with, Celia? And I know you have some upcoming goodies happening. Like what upcoming events do you have that are popping up that we can help support you in?
Yeah, so I have an event coming up. I know that I'm going to be doing one in quarter 2, and if you want to stay connected and get the invite for my upcoming event, I'm not sure if Catherine's going to drop it in the chat if I need to, but you can actually sign up and get onto my email list. I email my list once a week with insider information. Last week emails was about crafting the perfect follow-up message, because I get a lot of people are like, what do I say? This person that said they were going to buy from me and they haven't bought yet. So you can get those insider emails from me and get notification about my upcoming events. And then also, Catherine put in the chat, thank you, Catherine, that if you want to have a private conversation with me about your business and your sales strategy and your company, you can also book a sales growth strategy call with me at moremethod.info. That link is in the chat as well. And of course, you can connect with me on LinkedIn at Celia Meisel, and and be connected. I know Lachelle and I are connected here. We're LinkedIn connections. Yes, so that's how we can keep in touch.
That's wonderful. And I hope Roz will also reach out to connect with you and some of our guests who are joining us on replays. But thanks for the reminder, Celia, to kind of breathe through the process,
Yeah.
really know where we are, and and I like to always think of it in terms of alignment or clarity, but thank you for reminding us with your more method, it's so much more than just alignment or clarity.
Right, right. It's about not leaving any money on the table and cleaning up all the sales problems in your business so that you can scale and reach those new goals, but really impact a lot of people. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about the lives that you're impacting and the transformation that you're making in your business and in the world.
Well, I love the name of your more method, and I'm sure it took you a while, but actually for you, probably you'll probably say it was instinct. Is the more method around helping your clients achieve more in different areas?
Yeah, so the more method, it starts off with I help them to make more money. I do a full sales call audit where I go in and I will listen to 10 of their sales calls, five that closed, five that didn't. I will review their complete sales script and go through a whole process with them, and then also look at their offer and fix their offer positioning so that when they go make their pitch from the front of the room or on their sales calls, that it's delivered in a way that's really compelling and enticing. So that's the more money level. And then the next is the more sales with ease. So I'm helping them get more sales with ease by identifying the sales and marketing gaps that they have in their business. That could be doing a full funnel audit, their customer journey, working with their ads team. There's a number of different things that I'll go in and help them with. And then I help them to create more simplicity by helping them to clean up their systems and processes around their sales, because usually things are chaotic. We're streamlining and making sure that they're getting things organized and they know what their daily sales activities are. And then I help them to have more freedom, more sales freedom, so they can actually hire out. So that could be hiring out their first sales assistant that's going to do outbound calls for them, to their first or next sales rep. And then the last one is helping them to have more growth. And so that's really where we're looking at those scale strategies, really ramping up their events, their launches, their webinars. And so I'm really working with them from like the granular level of like, rolling up my sleeves and listening to their sales calls all the way to their company strategy.
That is fantastic, and it sounds extremely comprehensive. And I'd love to, as we're having these conversations, invite you to pop into Celia's great lives, check out her emails, book a sales growth strategy call, and
Absolutely.
just stay in touch with this amazing, talented woman. And thank you so much for sharing your gems and just popping in to join us today on Possible Live. We're about to celebrate a year, and I appreciate the great energy you're bringing. We're getting ready for celebrating with virtual toast. So
Yay.
thank you for the reminder also to celebrate as part of it, because I think we spend
Mhm.
so much time expending energy. We need to pause and just say, "Hey, let's have a gratitude moment," you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and have fun. It's like I'm the kind of person that I will get serious, serious, serious and all business. And I'm at a stage in my life where I'm cultivating fun and joy and enjoyment, and just loving the process, because we can kind of get into that rut. So I love that moment of gratitude, celebration, enjoyment, that it doesn't have to always be serious, right? Like you can make millions and have a blast doing it.
We look forward to continuing to having a blast and making millions with
Yeah.
you. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Celia, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks everybody for popping in, whether you're joining us live or for replays. Please let us know, and please continue to share great questions for Celia, and to pop into her wonderful lives. And
Yeah.
they are really designed for those of us who don't necessarily have a lot of time. We're not really sure where to start. And thank you again for your expertise. And to everybody who's listening, stay safe, stay well, stay inspired, stay in touch, and have a magnificent day. Take great care until we catch up again.